Hi, and welcome back to NRB 2015. We're here with Bobby Schuller. How are you doing, sir?
Hi, Dave. Good to see you.
Oh, man, we're glad to have you. He has a new book coming out called Happiness According to Jesus. We're going to jump into that in just a few minutes, but I want you just to share with the audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you've been doing.
Yeah, sure. I'm the lead pastor for Hour of Power, which is the longest-running Christian television program in the world. We have millions of viewers on all sorts of stations, Channel 5 in LA, but also a TBN, a church channel, Pop, we're on Oxygen, Ion, and we're also in 11 international offices around the world. So.
Oh wow, that's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing.
We have a big reach, millions of viewers, and
so are you constantly hosting? Are you constantly?
Yeah, I'm always. It's a televised church service.
Okay.
So we're on for an hour, obviously in the name. And it was started by my grandfather in 1970.
Your grandfather?
My grandfather was Robert Schuller.
If you didn't get that.
Dr. Schuller.
If you didn't get that.
And he built the Crystal Cathedral, among other things. And so I've taken over the ministry actually in February, and I've been guest preaching for 2 years.
Were you a little concerned when you were about to take over? Were you like, can I do this? Am I ready for this? Were you...
Yeah, I think...
Because we all get those questions.
Yeah, well, I mean, I sort of got tricked into it, because I was pastoring another church called the Tree of Life.
Okay, how long were you pastoring that?
Probably 6 years,
that's good. That's a lot of foundation there.
I went to Fuller Seminary, and my colleagues and I planted this church, and so I was volunteering at the Crystal Cathedral, and then later we changed our name to Shepherd's Grove when we left that building.
Okay.
And... was kind of preaching there as a volunteer, and then was voted in by the congregation to become the lead pastor and the chief of the organization.
Oh, wow. Well, that's how God moves.
Yeah, that's right.
But, obviously, if the show's continuing growing, I hear it's actually doing even stronger where it's at and everything, so that's good.
Yeah, that's right. It's doing great. We're continuing to buy airtime, and we're reaching more people, so it's really a neat thing.
Oh, wow. So how do you feel that now that you're running everything? It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but we have a lot of good people helping us. We have about 140 employees, and most of those departments have department heads, and so I get to sort of go to my mountaintop and cast vision and plan sermons and write and do fun things like come to Nashville. So I have a great team under me that does most of the hard work.
That's good. Tell us about your new book coming out in June.
So I have a book called Imagine Happiness, and I have a book called Happiness According to Jesus, and this book is... it's essentially, there's a lot of books about happiness out there, and it's usually about, eating better, or it's about,
exercising,
achieving your goals, And so I felt like, Jesus had something to say about happiness. The first word that he uses in the Sermon on the Mount, blessed, when he says in the Beatitudes, blessed are the poor in spirit, for example. That word blessed actually can be translated literally as happy. Very often when we read blessed are the poor in spirit, we read something like holy, or are the poor in spirit, or something like that, like they're really excelling in religion or something like that. And really what Jesus is saying is happy are those who suffer, not because they suffer, but in the midst of suffering, in the midst of triumph. Anyone can be happy all the time when their relationship in life is based on a personal relationship with Christ.
Oh, absolutely.
So the book is essentially inviting people into a life of discipleship, saying, look, you're not going to find happiness in achieving your goals unless you first find happiness in knowing Christ.
Oh, that's a better way of saying it. Because you do see a lot of those self-help books, and I think motivation speaking is probably one of the biggest things that are out there. Companies bring in people to get them motivated, and it's having something like that really just say, this is the true happiness. Yeah. This is what it is. It's Jesus.
That's right.
This is how you get it. So how long did it take you to put the book together?
We started writing, and I had my first manuscript was done at the beginning of last summer. So it's been almost a year it's taken us. And I'm still doing final edits. So
did you have some of your sermons involved in it? Or?
Yeah, it really started in a sermon series based on the Sermon on the Mount.
Okay.
And there's 18 chapters in there, and it really is almost a commentary of the Sermon on the Mount.
Is there a favorite chapter that you might have?
My favorite chapter is actually the chapter on anger.
Okay, that's important. That's very important today in society. And we see it on the news. We see it as the football stars, the basketball stars.
Yeah.
Domestic violence is very crazy as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's the fifth chapter, but it was actually the last chapter I wrote in the book.
Okay.
And it was because, I feel like a lot of people feel like either A, it's okay to be angry and to be in a rage, and that's almost a good thing, and that's not true. Or the other, if you feel angry, you need to bottle up and pretend and just shove it down, and both of those things are wrong. In truth, anger is something that needs to be expressed, and it needs to it needs to be out there, but it also is not something we want to take hold of our lives.
Oh, absolutely.
What Jesus says is, don't let your anger essentially turn to contempt, where you have a coldness in your heart towards someone, and always settle matters quickly with people. So, really, that part of the Sermon on the Mount leads to a major part of happiness in life, which is don't repress and forget, but your anger, but deal with it with people. Have the courage to work it through, and that's going to lead to such a better life.
Oh, absolutely.
Trusting your anger to Jesus.
All right, and how is all the new things out there as far as social media, internet, and stuff? How's that fit in with your ministry?
It's a big part, especially Twitter. So,
it's changed since your great grandfather, since he built the Christian Cathedral.
Whenever I preach this sermon, I always tell people live tweet my sermon. I tell all the people in our church, we'll have about maybe 800 people in a service.
Sure.
So just pull out your phone and just live tweet the sermon. Take pictures, put it on your Instagram. So I love Twitter. My Twitter handle is @BobbySchuller.
Okay.
And I always tell people, that are watching the program, if you ever, give me a shout out and, ask a question, no matter what, it challenge me, press me on things, I will always reply at least once to everyone who tweets.
Oh, well, I'm going to take them on that challenge.
Do it. Tweet me. Yeah, I'd be happy to see it.
Oh, amen. So how's your NRB experience been so far?
It's been great. We've met a lot of important people in the industry. We televise on the NRB network, so it's important that we're kind of here with our allies. And we're just meeting a lot of key people that are doing some amazing things. My favorite was seeing what I had the privilege of sitting with Mark Burnett and Roma Downey for breakfast, and they talked about this great project that they're doing called AD, which is the Book of Acts. It's the second TV series, and they're really using narrative and a really great budget to showcase the Acts of the Apostles on NBC. And so that's really going to be a great thing for pastors and church leaders to use that story as a platform to help communicate the gospel.
Oh, absolutely. Give me your website one more time.
Sure, at hourofpower.org.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Hey, thanks, David.
Short 10 minutes, but it is a blessing.
No, happy to be here.
Pray that God continues with your great success and doing everything.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll be back with another great guest.